My fiancé banned my 29-year-old brother and his disabled girlfriend from our $40,000 wedding because her rich family would look bad. So I canceled everything and did this with the venue deposit. Then she came begging. I, male 32, have been with my fiancée Caroline, female 30, for 3 years now, and we're supposed to get married in like 3 months. We met at this charity thing my tech company was hosting. I'm a software developer, and she was there representing her marketing firm. We clicked right away, even though we're from pretty different worlds. So about me, I grew up pretty middle class. Dad was an alcoholic, which is relevant later. Went to community college, worked my ass off to get where I am now as a senior developer. Nothing was handed to me. Caroline, on the other hand, comes from serious money. Her dad owns this investment firm, and her mom has family money. Caroline works as a marketing director at this luxury brand company, and she's really good at what she does. Usually our different backgrounds aren't a huge issue. I mean, sometimes she says stuff about money that makes me cringe a little, like when she called my mom's neighborhood quaint in that tone. But I always brushed it off because nobody's perfect, and she's from a different world. Okay, so background on my brother Logan, male 29, we're super close. When our dad was drunk, which was a lot, I was the one who protected Logan. We basically raised each other. He had a rough time after high school, bounced between jobs, dealt with depression for a while. But about 4 years ago, he started working at this community center for at-risk kids, and it totally turned his life around. He's amazing with those kids, and I'm so proud of him, even though he doesn't make much money. About 2 years ago, Logan met Sydney, female, 27, at the center where she volunteers. She was in a bad car accident 3 years ago and is paralyzed from the waist down, so she uses a wheelchair. She's an artist, funny as hell, and honestly, the best thing that ever happened to my brother. I've never seen him so happy and confident. Sydney is just part of our family now. She even helped me pick out Caroline's anniversary gift last month. So anyway, about the wedding. It's going to be this big $40,000 affair at this historic mansion. Caroline's parents are paying for most of it, which is becoming relevant in the worst way. The planning has been stressful, but mostly fine until last week when we were doing our final guest list review. I noticed Sydney wasn't on the list. I asked Caroline about it, thinking it was a mistake. She told me she was thinking maybe Logan could just come by himself because they were tight on space. I was confused because we had just added 3 of Caroline's cousins she barely talks to. When I pointed out that the venue holds 200 people and we only had 175, I asked what was really going on. Caroline tried to claim it was about the wedding aesthetics and flow of the event. When I directly asked if it was because Sydney uses a wheelchair, Caroline got really defensive, saying I was putting words in her mouth. But I kept pushing. Finally, she admitted that yes, it would look bad. She said her dad's business associates and country club friends would be there, and having someone in a wheelchair would make people uncomfortable. She said her family has an image to maintain. Then she made it worse by adding that Logan already doesn't really fit in with her family's circles. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. This person I've been with for 3 years suddenly seemed like a stranger. And it made me start remembering things I'd brushed off, like how she always had an excuse to skip my company parties because my coworkers weren't her kind of people, or how uncomfortable she was at my mom's house, or these little comments she'd make about Logan's job being noble but not ambitious enough. I tried explaining to Caroline why this was completely unacceptable, but she suggested we talk about it with her parents. This was a huge mistake. We had dinner at their country club the next night, and her parents were even worse than her. Her dad suggested Sydney could come, but not be in any photographs, and her mom said she was worried about the wheelchair disrupting the flow of the ceremony. The venue is fully accessible. There would be no disruption. I barely remember the rest of the dinner. I've been sleeping in our guest room for the past few days. Caroline keeps saying I'm overreacting and that this is just how things work in her social circles. I don't even know what to think anymore. I've been saving for 3 years to buy Caroline's engagement ring, even though her parents offered to pay. Last month I went fishing with Logan, and we talked about marriage and family and how happy we both were. My mom just finished her breast cancer treatment last year, which made me realize how important family really is. And now this. I love Caroline. I really do. But I can't imagine marrying someone who would exclude my brother's girlfriend just because she uses a wheelchair. That's not the person I thought I was marrying. Am I overreacting here? Is there some compromise I'm not seeing? I honestly don't know what to do. Edit. Holy shit, this blew up. I posted this before going to bed and woke up to hundreds of comments. I'm trying to read through them all. Edit 2. To answer some common questions. Yes, Sydney knows about this situation. Logan told her, and she actually told him she understands and doesn't want to cause problems, which honestly breaks my heart even more because she's being so gracious about something so awful. Edit 3. A lot of people are asking if there were signs before this. Looking back, yeah, there were. Like when we first met Logan and Sydney, Caroline was super awkward and kept talking to Logan while barely acknowledging Sydney. At the time, I thought she was just nervous around someone with a disability because some people are weird about that initially. Now I'm not so sure. Edit 4. For those saying I should just uninvite Caroline's parents' friends to make room, they're paying for most of the wedding, so they have a lot of control over the guest list. And honestly, even if we did that, the issue isn't really about space. It's about Caroline and her family's attitude. Edit 5. Thanks for all the supportive comments. Reading them is making me realize I'm not crazy for being upset about this. I'm going to talk to Logan tonight and figure out what to do next. This really sucks because I love Caroline, but I don't think I can get past this. Now for the first update. First of all, wow, I never expected my post to blow up like that. Thanks to everyone who commented and messaged me. It honestly helped a lot to hear I wasn't crazy for being upset. The past 2 weeks have been a lot. So after that dinner with Caroline's parents, I spent a few days sleeping in our guest room trying to wrap my head around everything. I kept thinking maybe there was some way to fix this. Like maybe Caroline just needed more education about disability or something. I don't know. I was really grasping at straws because the alternative was accepting that the woman I thought I was going to marry was, well, not who I thought she was. I tried everything to reason with her. I sent her articles about disability inclusion. I suggested maybe we could meet up with Sydney one-on-one so Caroline could get to know her better, even though they've met multiple times already, but whatever. I even offered to look at different venues if there were actual accessibility issues. There weren't. I checked with the venue coordinator, who was honestly shocked when I explained the situation. Caroline just got more defensive with each attempt. She kept saying I was making this into a bigger deal than it needs to be, and that this is just how things work in certain circles. And my personal favorite, you're being selfish for putting one guest above the entire wedding aesthetic. Last week, she basically gave me an ultimatum. Either we do the wedding her way, also known as without Sydney, or we should postpone indefinitely, which was basically her way of saying, do what I want, or we're not getting married. I knew I needed to talk to Logan. He's always been my voice of reason, even though he's younger. So I went over to his place when Sydney was at her art studio. The conversation with Logan was eye-opening, like really eye-opening. I basically asked him if I was overreacting about the whole thing. At first he was all, don't worry about it, man, we don't want to cause problems, which is such a Logan thing to say. But I could tell something was off, so I pushed him to be honest. He was quiet for a minute and then said, look, I'm hurt, but Sydney is devastated. I apologized for Caroline's behavior, and he just shook his head and told me Sydney had cried all night after finding out. The thought of sweet, funny Sydney crying over this made me so upset. I asked if Sydney would even want to come now after all this, and Logan just looked at me and said, that's not really the point, is it? It's about you marrying someone who thinks some people are less than others. I tried to defend Caroline a little, saying she's not usually like this. Logan just gave me this look and started listing off things I'd complained about before. Like how Caroline always had an excuse to skip hangouts with my friends from the community college, or how she made those comments about my mom's neighborhood, or how she once said Logan was wasting his potential at the community center. I realized there had been a pattern all along. I just hadn't wanted to see it. At the end of our talk, I asked Logan what he would do if he was in my position. He just said, I wouldn't marry someone who was ashamed of the people I love. He was right. That's exactly what was happening. Caroline was ashamed of my family, of my background, of the people I care about. I spent the next few days thinking about everything, and I started noticing other things I'd been ignoring, like how Caroline talks to servers at restaurants. Not great. Or how she makes these little jokes about how I didn't know what creme fraiche was when we first met, or how she's slowly been trying to phase out my old friends who aren't sophisticated enough for her. So I made the hardest decision of my life. I decided to cancel the wedding. The venue deposit was $15,000, non-refundable. Most of it came from my savings, Caroline's parents were paying for most of the wedding, but I insisted on covering the deposit myself. I was resigned to losing the money, but then I had a conversation with Sydney that gave me an idea. Sydney volunteers with this disability advocacy organization, and I realized, what if I turned the venue reservation into a fundraising gala for accessibility initiative? The date was already paid for, the space was already booked. Why not use it for something good? I talked to Sydney and Logan about it, and they were super excited. Sydney's connections through her volunteer work helped us secure auction items and speakers. It felt really good to use all this negative energy for something positive. Then came the hard part, telling Caroline. I asked to meet her at this neutral coffee shop, not our usual place. I was nervous as hell, but knew what I had to do. I told her I'd been doing a lot of thinking about our future together. She immediately got defensive, assuming I was going to bring up Sydney again. I tried to stay calm and explained that this was about something deeper than just the guest list. It was about our values and what kind of life we would build together. She dismissed it as me getting cold feet over one small disagreement. Are you kidding me? When I brought up the other incidents that had been bothering me, she accused me of saving these up to use against her. Then I told her I was canceling the wedding. Her face went from shock to straight-up fury in like 2 seconds. She demanded to know about the venue deposit. When I explained my plans for the charity gala, she completely lost it, called me vindictive and petty for weaponizing our wedding venue, said her dad would sue me for the deposit money. I pointed out that I paid the deposit myself, and she just stormed out saying I'd regret this decision. So yeah, that happened. The past week has been a blur of moving out of our apartment, returning the engagement ring, which she initially refused to take back, and dealing with the fallout among our friends. Most of my friends and family have been super supportive. I was surprised when 2 of Caroline's friends actually reached out to me privately to say they respected my decision and had always been uncomfortable with some of Caroline's attitude. Planning the gala has honestly been therapeutic. It's given me something positive to focus on. A local blogger somehow heard about the story and posted about it online, and we've gotten some unexpected attention, which is helping with ticket sales and donations. My new apartment is way smaller, and sometimes I feel both lonely and relieved at the same time, if that makes sense. I've been stress baking like crazy. My neighbors probably think I'm running an illegal bakery or something, haha. I ran into Caroline's cousin at the grocery store, and she literally pretended not to see me, which was awkward, but whatever. The gala is happening next weekend, what would have been our wedding day. I'm nervous but also excited to turn what could have been a really painful day into something meaningful. I think I'm handling the breakup pretty maturely, all things considered. I mean, I only drive by our old apartment building like once a week, and that's mostly just out of habit because it's on my way to... Okay, fine, it's not on my way to anything, I just do it sometimes. I am completely over Caroline though. Totally. 100%. Anyway, thanks again for all the support on my last post. It really helped me see things clearly. Edit. Holy crap, this blew up again. Thank you all for the supportive comments. Edit 2. To everyone asking if I've returned all of Caroline's things, yes, I packed everything up carefully and had my friend Mark drop it off when I knew she wouldn't be home. I didn't keep anything, not even the hoodie she always wore, even though technically it was mine originally. Edit 3. A lot of people are asking about legal issues with the venue. I checked with the venue, and since I'm the one who signed the contract and paid the deposit, I have the right to change the nature of the event. They were actually super understanding and have been great to work with on the gala. Edit 4. To the people asking if I think Caroline will show up at the gala, God, I hope not. But we have security in place just in case. Sydney's brother works in event security, and he's handling it for us. Edit 5. For those wondering how Logan and Sydney are doing, they're amazing. Sydney designed all the graphics for the gala invitations and website. Logan has been my rock through all of this, as usual. Honestly, seeing them together reminds me what a healthy relationship actually looks like. Edit 6. Since so many people are asking about donations, yes, there is a way to donate even if you can't attend. I can't post links here, but if you search Access for All Charity Gala, you'll find the event page with donation info. Now for the second update. So a lot has happened since my last post. Like a lot. First off, thank you all for the support and advice. I honestly didn't expect my posts to blow up like they did, and reading your comments really helped me feel like I wasn't crazy for standing up for Sydney. So the gala happened this past weekend, on what would have been our wedding day. And guys, it was amazing. We ended up raising over $50,000 for accessibility initiatives. That's more than what the entire wedding would have cost, 40. The local news even showed up and did this little segment about the whole thing. Sydney gave a speech about inclusion and dignity that had basically everyone crying, including me, not gonna lie. The venue had all the blue and silver decorations, Sydney's favorite colors, instead of the blush and gold that Caroline had picked out. So many people came up to me saying how meaningful the event felt compared to just another wedding. And honestly, the whole planning process brought me so much closer to Logan and Sydney. Like, we already were close before, but now it's on another level. Sydney has this incredible eye for design. She's an artist after all. And Logan is surprisingly good at logistics for a guy who usually can't remember where he put his keys, lol. Oh, and I know a bunch of you were asking for photos. I can't post them here, but if you DM me, I might be able to share a few. A lot of our friends and family who were supposed to come to the wedding showed up for the gala instead. My mom brought like 4 trays of her famous empanadas that were gone in like 10 minutes. Even my boss came and donated a bunch of money, which was cool. And I met so many amazing people through Sydney's connections at the disability advocacy group. The weeks after the gala have been weird but kind of good. I've been throwing myself into work. Actually got a small promotion last week, but haven't really had time to celebrate it yet. Been hanging out with Logan and Sydney a lot. My new apartment is smaller, but it feels more like me, if that makes sense. Oh, and I've been feeding this stray cat that hangs around my building. Named him Chairman Meow. Yes, I'm a dork, I know. I've barely thought about Caroline, to be honest. I mean, I hear things through mutual friends sometimes. She went on this big European trip with her parents right after we broke up. Her Instagram, which I may have looked at once or twice, or several times, not proud of it, is full of these perfectly staged fresh start posts. And apparently she's already dating someone new, the son of one of her dad's business partners. I'm not usually one to judge who people date, but like, that was fast, right? Not that I care. At all. I'm totally over her. 100%. Like, completely done. Anyway, I was settling into this new normal and feeling pretty good about everything when completely out of the blue, Caroline showed up at my apartment Sunday night. It was pouring rain and she was just standing there at my door. No makeup, hair all messy, which never happens. This girl used to wake up at 5 a.m. to do her hair before I even woke up, wearing jeans and a sweatshirt instead of her usual polished look. I was so shocked I literally just stood there with my mouth open for like 10 seconds. I normally would have just closed the door, but something made me let her in. She was soaking wet and honestly looked really upset. She asked if she could come in, and her voice was all shaky. I hesitated but stepped aside to let her in. I mean, what else was I supposed to do? Leave her standing in the rain? I'm not a monster. I grabbed her a towel and asked why she was there, and then she started crying. Not the cute single-tear crying she would do when we watched sad movies. This was full-on sobbing. She kept saying she made a terrible mistake and she'd been living in denial about her behavior. She said she saw the news coverage of the gala and it moved her. I just stood there not saying anything, waiting for her to continue because honestly, I had no idea how to respond to this. She went on about how her parents had pressured her about the wedding guest list and how she'd been doing a lot of thinking. She even said she'd been to a therapist who helped her see her privilege. I finally asked what she wanted from this conversation because I was so confused, and she said she wanted another chance, that we could have a smaller, more inclusive wedding. She promised to apologize to Logan and Sydney personally. Something about this felt off, like she hadn't contacted me once in the weeks after our breakup, not until the gala got positive media attention. So I asked her if she would have had this realization if I hadn't canceled the wedding. Guys, she just went silent. Couldn't answer the question. I tried to be nice about it, maybe too nice. I told her I was glad she was growing as a person, but it was too late for us. I pointed out that she never reached out until after the gala was in the news, which made me question if this was really about remorse or just about saving face. And then, the tears stopped, like, instantly. Her face completely changed and she got angry, started accusing me of being unforgiving and claimed I planned the gala specifically to humiliate her family, which is completely ridiculous because it was about raising money for a good cause. Not everything is about her and her family. Her reaction basically confirmed I made the right choice. Sorry for the lowercase. I still get worked up thinking about this part. The way she flipped from tearful regret to anger in like 2 seconds was honestly scary. She eventually left after realizing I wasn't going to change my mind. And then her dad called the next day, threatening legal action. Lol, what? Nothing came of it, obviously, because they have no grounds to sue me for anything. I heard through friends that Caroline's parents are facing some social consequences in their fancy circle after the story spread. Apparently, not everyone at the country club shares their views on who belongs at events. In happier news, Logan proposed to Sydney last week at the community center where they volunteer. He did this whole thing with the kids there, helping with the proposal, and Sydney was completely surprised. She said yes and asked me to be the man of honor, which made me cry like a baby. Don't tell Logan I admitted that. Oh, and the disability advocacy organization asked me to join their fundraising committee, which is cool. Gives me something meaningful to focus on. And I'm taking cooking classes now that I live alone because apparently you can't survive on ramen and cereal forever. Who knew? I still have my wedding suit hanging in my closet. Can't decide whether to return it or donate it. And I haven't deleted the photos of Caroline and me from my phone yet. Not because I miss her or anything. Just, in case I need them someday. For closure or whatever. Honestly, standing up for what's right cost me a relationship, but gave me a stronger sense of self. I'm still healing, but I'm more confident than ever that I made the right decision. Thanks again, Reddit, for helping me see clearly when I was confused. Your support meant more than you know. Edit. Holy crap, this blew up again. You guys are incredible. Thank you for all the supportive comments. Edit 2. To those asking if I think Caroline's apology was sincere, honestly, maybe parts of it were. But the way she flipped to anger so quickly when I questioned her timing makes me think she was more interested in fixing her reputation than fixing herself. Edit 3. For everyone suggesting I burn the wedding suit, lol, no. It's a nice suit and it wasn't cheap. I'll probably donate it. And no, I'm not giving it to Logan. We're different sizes and he's already got his own suit for his proposal photos. Several people asked about Chairman Meow. Yes, I've been taking him to the vet, and yes, I'm keeping him. Here's your cat tax. Imagine a cat photo here. Edit 5. To answer the many people asking if I'm dating again, no, not yet. It's only been a couple months and I'm still processing everything. But thanks for all the offers to set me up with your sister's cousin's friends, lol. Edit 6. Since so many are asking, yes, Sydney's speech from the gala is going to be published in some disability advocacy newsletter thing. When it comes out, I'll try to share it, with her permission, of course.